Forget trying to keep up with AI. It's moving too fast. It's time to think differently about it. Welcome to the AI Readiness Project, hosted by Kyle Shamim and Ann Murphy. They're here to help you build the mindset to thrive in an AI-driven world and prepare for what's next.
All right. Makes
How
me
you
dance
doing?
every time. I'm doing good. How are you?
It's such a bop. It's such a bop.
It's such a bop. Now, a bop, is that like millennial, Gen Z? Is that Gen X? What is a bop?
I think it's a cool kid's word, but I think we're allowed to say it. It's not like chuggy.
It's not like Riz. It's not like Riz you up. We can't say that.
We're not allowed to say Riz, and we're not
Right.
really supposed to say chuggy, but I do think it's okay to say bop.
Okay.
I do.
I like bop.
I also think that like once the word becomes out of fashion and it's just like left on the cutting room floor by the cool kids, I think we can use it at that point, don't you?
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Like when Riz becomes,
when they drop it, we'll pick it up. Yeah.
We pick it up. We just take the little meager leftovers of their cool language and we just use it or misuse it and embarrass our children.
Exactly. I'm doing really well. How have you been? How's your past week been?
Well, I do think that I'm like being pulled in two directions in my AI life right now. One is where I'm like digging in and like going deeper into places that I haven't wanted to really hang out in, like about the parade of horribles, of the horrible things that really are horrible about AI. Meanwhile, of course, launching, thank you, just getting my little podcast Diet Coke. It's Diet Coke o'clock, everybody.
It's important. Wait, what's the name
Bro.
on it?
Bro.
We got a real, what's our song? A pop?
It's a bop.
A bop.
We got a bop.
Hey, bro, we got a bop.
Hey, bro, we got a bop. Meanwhile, I'm also doing all, stuff like this, stuff like the community building and inspiring people to get off of the sidelines. Meanwhile, I'm like kind of wishing I could find a hole on the other side of that sideline and just like crawl in it for a while,
Yeah, I know. It's overwhelming and exciting. So we might as well jump in. How ready are we for AI this week?
How ready are you?
Let me share something that I've come to. I think we're going to make an announcement here on the AI Readiness Project. I think I know the secret to AI. I think I've cracked
that on TikTok.
I think I've cracked the code, and I don't want to brag, but I actually do think this is it. And it actually, I've been, me, I tend to meander around a concept for a while, and then I get a little closer and a little closer. This is one of those where I've kind of been feeling some version of this for, I don't know, 5 or 6 months and been meandering around it. And last night on the AI Salon, we had Danny Kravitz on. He's a screenwriting teacher and screenwriter. He's a produced, filmmaker and things like that. And he was on talking about creativity. And he said something that just coalesced everything for me. And because he was talking about the relationship between you in the creative process and you using tools in the creative process. And he made a real clear distinction about being in flow creatively has nothing to do with the tools. And there was this real distinction. And so what came into focus for me was this. I think people that get frustrated with AI are often asking the wrong question. They're asking the question, how can I get the most out of AI? Right? How can I make money with ChatGPT? How can I make the most out of AI? And what just sort of flashed in my head as Danny was talking was, that's not the right question. It's not how can I get the most out of AI? The question is, how can I make the most of myself using AI?
Yeah.
And I think that's it. When AI is at its most magical is when you have some sort of idea or you've got a challenge or there's something that means something to you personally. And you've got this prompt box and it's hungry, right? It's hungry for you to feed it. Well, what do you feed it? Well, you can feed it prompt engineering and you can feed it structured prompts and you can feed it, or you can feed it you. right?
Yeah.
You can feed it, what are my intentions? What am I trying to do? What problem am I trying to solve? When it's at its most magical is when you make it about you.
Yeah.
And this can happen on a business level. So you could be a VP trying to solve some, I don't know, revenue gap closing problem, or you could be an individual trying to, I don't know, plan a birthday party, whatever it is. But it's when it's that personal thing, that's when I think it becomes most powerful. So that's my big epiphany. It coalesced last night, but I've been thinking around this for such a long that the minute it came, I'm like, that's it.
Okay, so this is why I love the AI Salon so much, is that I think that this community are perfect examples of people who have figured that out organically. Organically.
Yeah.
Like we had the advantage/disadvantage at the time of when we all started using, ChatGPT in 22, there was no documentation. No one knew. And everyone was like, "Where's documentation?" And I was like, "I don't even know what does that word mean? Are you what documentation about what? Do we need to know how they built it? It's a magic machine. That's all I know." And we had to figure out how to use it. And we learned over time the best thing to do was to give it context, right? It was like context.
Yep.
And now look at what people in the salon have been able to do, like in the different clubs. The clubs are based on their club leaders and like the people who are in that club, like their unique passion and the way that they're using AI to do more of the things that they like to do, like the Life Hacks Club, like that's them pouring their life into it and getting AI to help them do more of what they want to do. They don't come to it and go, "I want to use AI," and wait for a use case to arrive on a silver platter.
Yeah. And it's like one of the things I think about is AI as an amplifier. Like AI will amplify whatever you give it, right?
Yep.
So you give it crappy stuff, it'll make bigger, crappier stuff, right?
Yeah.
You give it a crappy prompt, you give it unthought out stuff, it'll just amplify that. But if you give it yourself, it'll amplify you, right? It'll amplify who you are, what you want to do. So the thing you're most passionate about is the thing that gets most amplified.
Yes.
And then that gets, there's like this virtuous cycle of oh, that gets me more excited because now that idea I had that I thought was small just got bigger. And now I'm like, oh, now I'm really excited about it. And you give it more and then it amplifies it more. And it just keeps, doing this. The more you put into it, the more it kind of shines up who you are, right? It rizzes you up.
It rizzes you up. Well, so this feeds into it. One of the interesting things about doing it when we're here weekly, week in and week out, is that I get to reflect on, oh, that was my thing last week. This week, my thing is. And so this week, what I'm fired up about is exactly that, the amplification of our humanity, but in what can happen if you're not thoughtful and skilled, in some ways skilled about how you use the tools, is my beef this week about the way that women in particular are using AI to produce images of women. So here we all are. Do I have a minute for a little diatribe?
I think this is important. I think this is an important ramp, and especially with CJ coming up. I'm so excited to have CJ up here because he's so intentional about his art and what he puts in the world and what his voice is. So I think it's actually a really good setup for what we'll talk about with CJ.
Okay, so you bring your own lived experience to the table, right? When you're working with AI, and sometimes you're very aware of what those are and you can articulate those things. Like you say, like bring yourself to it. Sometimes you can, and sometimes there's stuff that's just going to like slip in between the cracks. You're not even aware. It's like our unconscious bias, right?
Right, because the tool doesn't care.
The tool doesn't care.
The tool will take a lazy prompt and blow that up just as much as a well thought out one.
Exactly. So most women, have internalized misogyny. And sometimes what that can lead to is some really destructive thinking and behavior. And so what I've been, and I don't know that that's actually what is happening, but I've been really taking a look at the images of women the AI generated images of women that hit my LinkedIn feed, because there's so many. Whatever the algorithm has done, every day I get,
Well,
3
you
or
put
4.
yourself out there as She Leads AI, so you're going to get
I'm
some
getting
stuff
all
coming
of
in.
these,
Yeah.
like, all of these women. And so I started to think, I think we talked about it maybe on here before. I was like, man, I don't know what to do. Like, we've got all these AI generated headshots of people for our events. And I love that because I love the artistry, but also I do know that our participants want to know who's actually teaching the workshop, right? And then I started thinking about the difference between airbrushed photography, which of course all of our headshots are airbrushed within an inch of their lives. And how different is that from an AI generated image, right? So it's all a continuum. But now I did a Manus project this weekend, any excuse to do something silly on Manus. And I analyzed a bunch of the AI images that come into my LinkedIn feed against the proportions of Barbie and the proportions of a average North American woman. And, of course, what we found is that the AI generated images of women are way closer to Barbie than they are to the North American woman. Like, very Barbie-esque, impossible proportions, probably couldn't stand up, things like that. Barbie has a size 3 shoe. She's 5'9" and weighs 110 pounds. She can't stand up. I don't know what size shoe the AI girls wear, but it would need to be very big in order for them to stand upright. And so my beef here is that unless we do accept that we have a responsibility and that no one's going to come down from above and tell us you must use the following words while you're prompting, it takes some real critical self-reflection if you're going to generate images that might have XYZ impact on people, right? And this isn't stuff that's going to get flagged by the human reinforcement learning people. This is just imagery that's going to go into our brains, be consumed, and do what unrealistic images of beauty have always done for everyone. They're harmful, right? And so what I've been saying this week is, if you don't know how to do it, learn. If you're doing it without understanding the consequences, stop. Because
That's great. That's great.
Because the one last thing I want to say is that I haven't spent a lot of time worrying about like model collapse, but I do think about the volume of synthetic images of women that it's already
back into it. Yeah,
exactly.
Well,
that's
and
my
then
piece.
I think CJ will have a lot to say on this, which I'm excited about. But I think there's also, there was a lot of talk early on about the bias in the model. There's bias in the models, and they were trained on, stuff that's not necessarily the right thing. And what you're talking about is a kind of lazy bias, which is if you're not conscious about what you're prompting, and there is bias in the model, then you're going to reinforce that bias in the model, right? So it's like if you're just going in there saying, "Oh, I just want something pretty," and then out comes the kind of stuff that you're talking about. Well, that's kind of lazy, right? So there's an intentionality that I think, and again, this goes back to, I do think this goes back to like, what are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do in the world, right? And so just being conscious about that, learn how you can, alter the bias of the model in a direction that's more positive, right?
Yes. Because I remember way back. This was like 23 sometime. You on the show, you were talking about bias, and you said, it's everyone is always beefing because the models are biased, but the situation, the humans are biased. The models are trained on the shit show.
Why do you think the model's biased? Because it's trained on human data. Right?
Yeah, it has studied us. It has learned us. And so now, it's the FAFO, right? Like we FA'd by putting a bunch of shit into the internet, and now we're FO'd because we're trying to get...
Because we've built this model that has condensed the internet into this magic ball that basically reflects us back to us. Right? Which
I blame you for the internet. So it is pretty much your fault.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll take that. I don't like to brag, but right behind Al Gore was me.
Tell us more about what you're thinking along these lines, Kyle.
Well, I mean, it's a relatively new thought. I mean, I just articulated it today, but I've been talking a lot about Rick Rubin and, find your inner Rick Rubin. And if you don't know him, he's a music producer, and his basic claim to fame is, I don't write songs. I don't work recording consoles. I basically just have taste, and I create songs that I like, and I don't think about the audience at all.
Yeah.
Art, creation is that moment where you have some intention, you generate it, however you generate it, with paints, with AI tools, with a guitar, however you generate it. And at some point you go, this is something I want to put in the world, right? There's this conscious choice to do it. And so I just for me, AI tools are so seductive.
They are.
That what they do is they kind of seduce you into thinking that they are the most important thing. And what that does, the destructive thing that does, is it makes us all the victim of AI.
Oof, so true.
Right? If I just say, the AI tool's important, the AI tool is going to take my job, the AI tool is just generating shitty art, that means I've defined my relationship with it, that the AI is happening to me. Rather than me saying, hey, I'm a being with things I want to say and things I want to do. And so if we flip that on, what do I want this tool to do? Now we're using the tool as a partner, as a collaborator, as an amplifier of our humanity.
Yep.
That's where I think it's powerful. That's where I think it's magical. And you said it before. I think a lot of people in the AI salon have organically gotten to that place. I'm just now 2.5 years in. I've finally kind of articulated for me that if you fall into the trap of believing the hype of AI and give it the power, then you're at the mercy of it. And I think that's a bad place to be. So that's kind of where I am with it.
So, okay, good. I think that is incredibly important to like crystallize that and to help people understand that that's the way that it is, not the other way around. So, because the people who are coming, like organizations who are like, I don't know, I just know we need to do AI stuff.
Yep.
It's not working, right? So, we're going to have a panic. I learned the term panic learning. There's going to be panic learning. Yeah. Because they will have their use case, and their use case is going to be like, stay alive.
Gotta get a job. Gotta
get a job.
I heard someone made money on Etsy. How do I make Etsy art? Right, and you put it all out there, right?
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, panic education and panic entrepreneurship.
Panic. Oh God, panic. Like the poor panic entrepreneurs. Oh my God. I just, wow.
It's rough. It's rough.
Start with like opening an Etsy shop, and that, like, see if you like that. If you like selling stickers on Etsy, then you're allowed to try to continue being an entrepreneur. Other than that, just apply for jobs.
yeah, exactly. Well, so let me kind of tied to what you just asked. Let me sort of shore up a thing I think is worth paying attention to this week. So I think last week I talked about this, that the VO3 tool, the video tool from Google, is a really big deal. Mm-hmm. And so what I've noticed in the week since it's come out and since people are putting things out there is that there are two kinds of work being put in the world. And I think, like, now that I'm noticing it with VO, I think this exists for all work. And again, this is very tied to what CJ is going to talk about. Pay attention to those people who post, look what VO did. And it's a little clip, versus those people that say, I had a story to tell and now I can tell it.
Yeah.
And they put together a story, and sometimes they're short, sometimes they're longer. But there's just a fundamental difference between the people that are saying, here's the tool, and people that are saying, here's my story that I want to tell, and now I have this remarkable tool to tell it with. So for me, that's the thing to pay attention to is, and like, I think it even goes to, and to your LinkedIn feed, I think it even goes to this. probably within all those, AI generated women coming in your feed, there are probably some that are right, that you're like, oh, those feel right to me. Follow those women, right? Maybe unfollow the other one. Like you can start to curate, start to pay attention to who are the storytellers, who are the people that are engaged as
storytellers,
humans, right? That are putting themselves in the world, and start paying attention to that.
So I don't know if you remember this, but at AI Festivus, CJ had us, he said, this was, pre-demo. He said, I want you to close your eyes and tell me what you see. That's the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you see is, and then it's implied what happened before and what happened next. It's really, and then he showed us, how he used his
I forgot
UI.
about this. Yeah, this is good.
And it was a great reminder to actually first touch base with yourself.
Yeah.
Quieter, deeper kind of reflection moment before you even put your hands on the keyboard or turn on your microphone to talk to it. What is the story that you're trying to tell? Let's get in the ballpark, right?
Yep.
So you have your own point of view. I realized the other day, we always talk about taste and curation and having a point of view, and how those are the things that are going to stand the test of time. And I realized how, for some people, how unfamiliar it might feel to develop a point of view, because no one has ever asked them what their freaking point of view is.
Yeah.
And now,
And the challenge with AI is that because it is so capable, those people who've never really looked there about their point of view are going to generate stuff that for them looks like it's great stuff.
Yeah.
But when you compare it to all the other crap out there, it's just going to be the noise at the bottom.
Yes.
And the work that's going to rise up. And this is not just about creative work. This is about people who vibe coded applications. This is about people that have put together business plans and marketing plans. Those people that do it from a considered place, a place of intention, a place of of clarity, of self-reflection. That work is going to elevate above the noise. And the noise is just going to fall to the mean. Like you said, if you just put in a lazy prompt about women, you're going to get all this same sort of schlocky, destructive crap.
Right.
And
but if you know what you're trying to accomplish, if you know that what you want to be able to share. Oh, Roger Scott, by the way, his artwork is in CJ's magazine, is beautiful.
Oh yeah, Roger's amazing.
Here's the thing I did with the tool. Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing I did with the tool is more likely to show the person behind it. Yeah, it's like, it's cool in a way that sometimes you can make something out of almost nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you, there's Rachel, the pause in AI. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is. Because AI is so fast. Take a moment, right? Take a breath. What am I trying to accomplish? Right? That's great. Love that.
Oh, the nice people. Let's just say hi to the people for a second. Brian, Whitney, Vicky, Roger, the other Vicky, Marisol's here, Pamela, Authentically Joe, Rachel, Zipsy, Roger Scott. It's so good to see everyone. Yeah. Hi, Gareth. We have such a nice little community here. Thank you all for showing up for us. You're so wonderful.
It's so good. I'm not leaving my office.
Lisandro, good to see you. So
anyway, this is, back in the early days of the web, a lot of the people we talked to be like, I need a website. And like, one of the questions we would ask is, well, why do you need a website? What are you trying to accomplish? And it's like, this week, this coming into clarity for me this week is just a reminder that like nothing changes, right? That when new technology comes along, it's really easy to get seduced into it. I need AI. I need to do AI. I got prompt engineering. It's so easy because it's moving fast and it's exciting and all that. And it's very easy to fall into that machine.
Yep. Yep.
And it's also this tool that we get to use to express ourselves in all sorts of ways. And I think it's remarkably powerful, but you need to take that pause.
Yes. I think it's interesting that we can say with impunity that it's a good thing that it amplifies our humanity, right? Because we're coming to it with the good of the order in mind most days, right?
Most days.
And certainly the other side of the coin is
nearly 5 days a week.
most days we're coming into our conversation with AI with the good of the order in mind. But also there are people who are coming to the conversation with AI with the good of the order. Exactly. That's who they do not have in mind. And they too will be able to amplify their humanity, right? Their humanity is just darker than ours. Our angelic humanity.
the group though that I think is ultimately the most destructive is not the ones that come into it with bad intent. I think it's the ones that come into it with no intent. That inadvertently cause the destruction, right?
Yeah.
That inadvertently just put crap out there, that inadvertently create more noise, that create more things. So yeah, but I listen, I think this is why we started the communities we've started. This is why we want, as many people in them as possible. And we want this is why we're having this conversation, quite frankly, right? What is AI readiness, right?
What is AI readiness? Can we do two things? One is, can we revisit what AI readiness is? And then can you tell us about the AI Salon Mastermind?
Yeah, absolutely. So AI readiness is a concept we sort of co-created it. I was all excited about AI literacy for a good long while. And I said, why don't we do an AI literacy podcast? And you were like, I think AI literacy sucks. Some version of that. But you said it just doesn't feel like the right word. And as I thought about it, I'm like, you're exactly right, because it's impossible to be literate when the tools are changing on a weekly basis. But what you can be is AI ready. And what that looks like is a mindset. And it's a mindset of curiosity and adventure and willingness to learn and adaptability and things like that, right? And so that is what it is. And so when we did AI Festivus, we brought in 34 different speakers that spoke over 24 hours, and including CJ, who we're going to talk to in a minute here. And to a person, none of them talked about tools. They all talked about, here's how I'm thinking about it. Here's how I'm dealing with it. And it was all about the mindset. And that, if you compare it to a year before when we did GPT for Good, it was like, let's make custom GPTs. We were talking about the tools, and AI Festivus was talking about the process. And that I found very, very exciting. The AI Salon, let me pop up I've got it here in my name, but where did I lose? Here. The AI Salon is a community I started with Leah Faston the week after ChatGPT came out. And if you go to the aisalon.mn.co, that's the community site. And we just launched AI Mastermind. And the AI Mastermind is a subscription-based, kind of think of it as a hyper-focused community that are ready to kind of step up to the next level. And because what we've got, and you've got this within She Leads as well, is we've got 2.5 years of people in this community, and a lot of new people are coming in all the time, but there's sort of a core group of people that really step up to the plate, really support one another. And we wanted to create kind of a path for those people to step into like a deeper level of commitment, a deeper level of engagement with one another. Which I think becomes increasingly important as we move on. So if you go to the AI Salon, you can join the salon for free. The community's for free. The mastermind for the balance of 2025 is $20 a month, $19.99. And you get a badge that's a founding mastermind member. And that price is good for all of eternity. So we just launched it. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, that's what it is. So why don't you tell the good folks about Reads?
I have been, as you know, stalking the website to get to. I wanted to be the very first member, but then I got like, buried. So now I'm going to do it after this. I can't wait to join the mastermind. I think like there's something about I'll just be like, when I put money on something, it is more important to me. Like,
people just show up in a different way. Yeah.
Show up in a different way. It's like, at least once a month I'm going to get, although I think we're going to do an annual, but because by the way, everybody, it's only $20 a month from now until the end of the year. So you should sign up now. And
well,
then
and ongoing. If you sign up anytime in 2025, that's it for life. So long as you keep
that's
it going.
It for life. Like this is the $20 like is table stakes now. So if you're in a community that's like $20, like, wow, that is huge, huge, huge value. It's the new like $1 or something. So
the economy.
The economy of communities. But the thing about communities, and this is how I'll share about She Leads, is that I'm convinced that this is where the real learning takes place, because we're not doing it, for the world. We're not doing it for money. We're not doing it for connections and jobs and accolades and likes and followers. We're pouring into each other because we care about each other, because we have hard-won, findings and learnings that it feels good to help somebody else level up. Like you take all that, all that whatever that you went through to learn the thing, and then you can rapidly transfer it from your brain to somebody else's. Like, it's just worth it to have these intentional spaces. That's what the salon is like. It's obviously what the mastermind is going to be. And at She Leads AI, we're able to share all of our secret sauce. We now have sessions called Secret Sauce Sessions.
That's great.
Because we've booked everybody out. We have member jams. We booked them all out till like September, October. So we had to create another kind of event for all the people who have things to share with one another. And that, in addition to, eventually we will need groups of people to be able to say about us that we are real, we are enjoyable, we're cool to do projects with, and now you're going to have this core community who's all going to be able to say, yeah, I know Anne, she's a real person, she's pretty dope to hang out with. So
yeah, and quite frankly, if we do our jobs right in both communities, if we do our jobs right with that subscription tier, that's something that people can put on their LinkedIn profile, that it means something, right? If we do our jobs right with it. And that's, that's on us, but I think that's an important part of it. Awesome. Okay, so let's bring up our special guest. Before we bring him up, CJ's been a part of the salon since very, very early on. He's one of my favorite people in the salon. He's incredibly passionate about what he does. I can't wait for him to tell what he does. But before we bring him up, one of the things that CJ said to me that just sort of smashed me in the face in a great way was, he was showing me his art, and he was showing me how he did it, and he was using Stable Diffusion and this dedicated laptop, and the way he prompts is absolutely mad. Like, my ADD brain can't even process how he does it. It's absolutely insane. But what he said to me that just blew me away is I'm like, what are you doing here? What are you doing with this? And he said, Kyle, I set a goal for myself that in 5 years, my art is going to be in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And that clarity of vision and passion. And before we came on, I confirmed with him that he's still on that path. But I just wanted to say that because I love that. And like, just knowing how he prompts, like, I know, like, I just have high confidence that he's going to get there. So with that, let's bring him up. CJ's just the best. So CJ, welcome to the party.
Hey everybody, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So great to see you. Thanks for joining us on our humble little podcast.
Oh no, thank you guys for having me, honestly.
CJ had a really nice time this afternoon. Kate Rivera, who works with us in our company and She Leads AI, and we went back and watched the YouTube recording of your session at AI Festivus and went through the transcript to pull out some of the nuggets, because I remembered that you said something that struck me about how we are all artists.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said, the quote that like just, I don't know, like really hit home for me was, you're at that we are all artists and we should sign our work. And I was like, I mean, I get chills thinking about it. You know, I dismiss myself in all representations of myself so easily, but you're saying, no, 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 this is real. You should sign your work. I was like, that's CJ. He's a good one.
He's a good one. So that's awesome. I mean, so tell us, I mean, talk to that, but also just, tell us who you are and what you're up to.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you kind of the little TLDR from me. I'm a Gen Xer, born in the Southwest in Mesa, Arizona. Always had a penchant for performing and telling stories, and that's where my first career started. Was starting on stage in front of a camera telling stories, and I was into movies, television, all the type. It basically, if I could be on stage somewhere trying to tell a story or a joke, that's what I was for the longest time. I switched careers when I had a really great mentor tell me that the challenge for me is now to tell a story on one single sheet of paper. So tell a 5-minute story, a 20-minute story on a single sheet of paper. So I re-enrolled back into college, got my degree in graphic design, and with the emphasis on storytelling and photography. And it just became kind of my love. And then when the artificial intelligence community kind of blew up and this whole thing called ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion and all of that started, I realized that there was a way for me to take technology and take all of the stories that have been brewing in my head for decades and actually get them out onto a screen or a piece of paper better than I could do just solely on my own. So I used the technology to enhance the artistic stuff that I had that was there already. And so I just became a storyteller through a different medium.
Very nice. Very nice. And talk about the goal you said. I mean, I probably butchered it, but
no.
But talk to me I'm even fascinated by what led you to make that declaration. That's fascinating.
It was, I have the highest regard for all of the art forms, no matter what they are. I have members of my family that are artists in a different vein than I'm an artist. And I said, when looking at some of the things, the people who I really admired, the people who inspired me, Glenn Friedman, Aaron Draplin, Basquiat, looking at their avant-garde work and what they put together, I said, this is what I want to do. I want to somehow be able to tell my story. It's one of the particular ones that I have, and have that for other people to see and have people to realize that it's not about the tool, it's about the narrative. It's about what you're trying to put out there, and not basically what did I use to do it, but what is the story. And that's what got me interested in MoMA. And I put that declaration out there, and then I went to the digital tools just to kind of craft up the timeline. And I realized it would take me about 5 years to really understand what it meant to be in MoMA and understand how to tell my story effectively.
Yeah.
And I'm into year 2.5 right now, and it's going well. My plan is going well. I'm learning a lot. It's a self-reflective journey that I've been taking, and a very humbling one too, to see some of the people and what they do. There are some people online that I've struck up friends with that are absolutely incredible artists, digital as well as generative, that absolutely blow me away. And every day they push me and challenge me to get a little bit further into what I try to do.
Mm-hmm. Can you I don't know if you were listening when Anne was talking about the women prompting Barbie women. Can you talk about telling your story? I know you talk a lot about, diversity, bias, things like that, and wanting to express who you are, how you are. Can you talk to some of that? Because that feels like such an important conversation.
It
I know
really is
your work.
Yeah, it really, really is. When these tools first started, it's very male cis dominated as far as what you could produce. And there was really nothing of diversity whatsoever in the tools themselves. So when people put the things together, if you asked for a doctor, you usually got a white male doctor. If you asked for an athlete, you got a white male athlete. And it took a lot of grassroots organizations to really have these conversations about art needs to be very, very representative. Mm-hmm. And not only does the art need to be representative, I think those of us who are not white and based in a different culture, and those of us who are not male, not us, but just those of us in general who aren't male, need to really jump into this to tell that story and tell that narrative and change what art looks like when it comes to the technology and the digital aspect of it. Growing up, computers, if you went to a computer con, it was just a bunch of men standing around smoking cigarettes, talking about computers and COBOL this and Fortran that, and artists are not always going to be like that. And I think that if you're out there and you don't look like the majority of the population, I can almost guarantee you there's a story that you have to tell. Experience, and this is a great tool for you to start exploring how to tell that story.
Yeah. How's been your and Anna? I'm sorry, I'll let you ask a question.
No, that's go for it.
But you kind of set it up, but I would love to understand from you, how have the tools evolved? You said when you started out, it was hard to get them to do anything. Sounds like it's gotten better, but what's the state of your ability to tell your story today versus where it was?
Well, it is a give and take. It really was about intentionality in telling what my old professor would call the stupid computer what to do. If I just said, give me a doctor, it would probably give me a white doctor. So the intentionality is, give me an African-American male in his 60s with a goatee and salt and pepper hair. It's really about intentionality, and the tools themselves are just what they are. And people have been making the tools stronger. They've been making the software better and more intuitive. I still see, if I still right now were just to type in, give me a CEO, I would more than likely still get the prototypical white male, 45-year-old in a suit.
Yeah.
So when it comes to how I use the art, I have to be very intentional in what I'm putting out there.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
I know that we share a friendship with Kim Offord. Kyle, can you pin my comment that I just commented, because I dropped her link. I know this makes our episode somewhat less evergreen, but I wanted to point out that, Kim obviously has this perspective as well of if you don't look like what is currently deemed to be the majority, right? You have a story to tell. And she wants to hear it. And tomorrow is the screening of her AI film contest winners. And that was the premise of it, was tell your story from your lived experience. And I cannot wait to see what bubbled up. That's all day tomorrow. You can RSVP there. It says /swag bag because she's giving out swag bags of digital products. And we included something, and it's really good. So it's from 12 p.m. Central to 8 p.m. Central tomorrow. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So shall we jump into our questions for CJ?
Yes.
I have been studying all night for the questions.
You will be judged and graded on these, and there is some wagering.
Oh, awesome. I'm down. Insider betting. Let's do this.
Okay, so CJ, it's interesting because like I've tried to learn a lot about you. Are a little bit of a man of mystery, you know that, right? You do it on purpose,
Yes.
right?
He does.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You're like this like clandestine kind of, I don't know. Anyway, when did you start using AI? When did you know that you had to go all in, and what happened next?
My very first touching of what we consider today's generative AI tools would be in 2021.
Ooh, that's early.
It is early, and that's what we consider today's modern tools.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My first messing around though with computers when it came to could they be predictive would be way back in 1984ish, working on computers with my father, and working on robotics and predictive
cool.
robotics. But
Oh.
I started with this journey in 21, and I realized about 2 hours into my first prompt that this was going to be the way that I was going to tell my story effectively.
Really?
Wow.
Was
100% bought in, and I jumped in and I watched every YouTube video that I could possibly find, and I reached out to the people who were doing YouTube at the time. They were learning at the exact same time as me, so it was perfect. It was this symbiotic relationship where they would teach a little bit of a thing, I would learn it, I would go back with comments, they would do another broadcast on YouTube, and then there's a couple guys, I'll mention them later on, that also we all jumped in at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's what I knew. It was really early on, like the first couple of hours that I did my first image for my first prompt.
And what was it? Was it Stable Diffusion? Was that the first tool you used, or was it
Yes,
something else?
yes.
It was
Stable Diffusion.
And is that still what you're using today?
Sure is. I have never used Midjourney.
Wow.
I am a local Stable Diffusion guy, like you said. I have a dedicated system. I went from a laptop to my own dedicated mega gaming computer that is now my dedicated. That's the only thing that it does, is it just helps me. So I go back and forth between the laptop when I'm out on the streets and roaming around, and when I get home, it's desktop time and time to sit down and get serious.
That's stunning. That's so cool. That's so cool. What was it about what was it that captivated you?
It was the idea that the jumbled mess in my head was actually being shown in front of me. That was a really big deal to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to physically draw. I don't have those skills. My family has those skills. I do not.
Yep.
But so the idea that I typed in, small boy alone in a corner of a room, and I saw it and I went, oh, that's so close to what I was thinking. I wonder how I can make this look like what I'm actually thinking.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I felt mine was kind of like that too, CJ, where it was like I felt like I could see what I really thought finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right there. This is what I'm really thinking. Who knew? Because I couldn't put it all together.
Right. There is a kaleidoscope of dreams and visions and colors that are going on in my head and in the back recesses of my subconscious at all times.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get out. I always want to push that out to the forefront. If anything, it's cathartic for me to see what am I thinking about and how it looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Self-analyze. Oh my gosh, I have issues with my father. By looking at images and things.
I sometimes think we have a narrative about what our through line is, and what I've learned is that I actually think that my through line is something that I don't know what it is right now. You know what I mean?
That unknown is wonderful. Yeah.
I don't know it, and I'm discovering it as I can watch my own thoughts and watch my own thinking, kind of like watching a movie, because it's coming through me and it is me, but it's then going through a process where I can now see it more manifest and get to know myself more so. than I did
Yes.
before.
Yes, I'm finding out things about myself I didn't know especially over this past 6 months of deep diving into some of the issues and the themes that I have. Finding out a lot that's coming out just in the art itself.
So cool.
That's fascinating.
So cool.
Yeah, I find myself, because I do it on my lives a lot, where I'll go into it with complete unintentionality. I'm just like, here's the thing, here, right? And then all of a sudden something will be generated that like speaks to me, and I'm like, ooh, that's me, right? And that'll force me to run down a rabbit hole. So sometimes I go in with intentions, but a lot of times I'm just sort of surfing the latent space, and then something will emerge out of it that I'm like, that's a something, right? And so yeah, fascinating. Okay, so we've got 3 questions here. So I'll take question number 2. So based on your area of expertise, what is a trend or some trends that you're seeing that you're paying attention to?
Beautiful question. So in the circles that I run in, the biggest trend that I'm finding is surrealism. We are coming back to this beautiful world of just weirdness, because at the beginning it was all about, how do I make everything look real? I want a person who is shining and not textured and the light. And now it's all about crazy weirdness. There are 2 guys. I'm going to put them out there real quick for anyone out there who wants. Brian Allman, Almon, and Hari Ren, Hariren. Surrealists to the extreme when it comes to art, and I find that's a trend that is running with a lot of us who started around the same time. We're really starting to explore.
Spell those again. I want to put them up on screen.
It's Brian Allman, Brian with an I, and then Almon. Shout out to my Florida guy.
Yeah.
And Hari Ren, Hariren. 2 fantabulous artists that are pushing the boundaries. Hari Ren, 2 words. Sorry. But that is correct. Like that.
All right. So that with Hari Ren is 2 words.
Yes.
Great.
But they inspire things like this out of me, and we go back and forth about surrealism and telling a story, kind of like like Dali would tell a story, or not Dali the tool, but Salvatore Dali. Yeah. And some of those conceptual artists, Basquiat's, and just we're getting crazy. And so I'm noticing that as a fringe trend, but one in the circles that I'm in right now.
And it's one that's sucking you in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. So talk to me about the relationship. I find the way you prompt really fascinating, because so if people don't know, you're very methodical, right? You'll sort of prompt something, and then you try to change this one specific thing, that one specific, and you'll do, I assume hundreds, but like a lot, right? You dig until it's generating what you do. Can you talk to me about the relationship between your left brain and your right brain? That where are you? Like, is it more logical? Is it more like, are you surfing between those two? Like just talk to me about how you prompt and how you think and that relationship.
Well, they hate each other. They can't stand each other. Left and right can't stand each other.
Yeah, exactly.
They're both obnoxious.
They're just like, oh, we hate you. Be logical. No, paint pictures. So as the storyteller background of me is where the prompting comes in. The artistic side, the thing that's in the back of the head knows what it wants to see. And so the storyteller side then starts trying to write that out. What does that look like? And so the prompt can start out anywhere. It could be a 40-word prompt to begin with, and it could give me gobbledygook and not what I'm looking for. And then it's a matter of, okay, back of the brain, you told me what you want. Let's try and change the words now to get to that spot. And so, yeah, I'll go through several iterations of maybe changing one word here, one word there, blue to like the word blue to, let's say, the word aqua. If it's not giving me what I want. And then I'll fiddle around for a while until I get somewhere. And every once in a while, I've found that minimalism helps in that aspect too. And so I've I've dove into the idea of minimalism as a maximalist prompt, and it's an interesting concept. Yeah, like I said, surrealists are we're getting funky with
Yeah.
how we put things together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will still, even if a prompt like the one you see behind me, with the craziness here, that started out as about 20 words as a prompt, and when it got down to the end, it ended up being about 7. And that was because we're utilizing this minimalism as maximalist idea frame right now. But yeah, I will do it over and over and over until I get close enough to what I need. And then of course there's always extra tools on the outside that have to be used, in my opinion, to finish up the art.
Yeah. But you're kind of waiting for, in your mind's eye, to go, yeah, that's what was in here.
Yep.
Love it.
So CJ, I don't know if you could possibly weave in some conversation about your magazine into our third question, but I invite you to do so because I do think that the nice people need to know about your magazine and need to avail themselves of it, because I think it's an important artifact, like for where we are right now with AI and art. It also brought forward some people who one of the artists that you featured is a person who I've known for a really long time, but who has never ever come out of the shadows.
Oh, wow.
They do not put themselves in front of anything ever under any circumstances, and they were in your magazine. It was the first time that I've seen anything they've ever made. I knew what they were capable of. I knew what their skill set was, but they just never, and they were in there, and I was like, this is so glorious. So the people that you highlighted, their story, the arc of where you're going with the magazine is something I would love to hear about. But our third question is, what would you advise somebody who's just getting into this?
Okay, so you just said it almost to a T. Putting yourself out there is the number one thing you can do. All art is valid, no matter what it is, whether it's a crayon drawing or it is the Sistine Chapel. Anything that you do is a valid piece of art. It's all about your exploration and what you want to tell, the story that you want to tell. Generative Grammatic, when I put it together, was about that. It was about letting everyone tell their own story. If it was one image, 5 images, a series, whatever it was, because it's all viable. And it wasn't about, is the artwork good? Is it bad? It was really about, who are you as a person, and how vulnerable do you feel like being today?
Right.
I mean, all artists, when we put something onto a piece of paper or a screen or a prompt, we are becoming more vulnerable human beings than we've ever been, because we're taking a piece of ourselves and we're entrusting it to not only other people to look at, but we're entrusting our own selves to look at the art itself and really delve into who we are as a person. So my big advice to all of you out there is just start doing it. Honestly, just find whatever program that you think is the easiest for you to use. Type in something that's in the back of your head. Close your eyes and just imagine any sort of thing. Type it in and see what you get. And then from there, just start moving forward.
Yeah, just keep playing. Here's one that people are not doing regularly, doing art. When do you know it's art?
I think the minute that you go, oh, that looks nice, or you go, beautiful. Oh, that looks interesting, or you go, oh, that is ugly, because art is all three of those things. I have a relative who is what I call a trash artist, and I think the art is it's a bunch of trash, but my God, it's art. Someone put their thing out there and said, this is art. And I went, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is art the minute that you see it and go, that is X, Y, or Z.
That's so pure. That's so beautiful. Like that. It is. It's like when I'm doing the thing where I go in with no intentionality and one thing jumps out at me, it's like, that's the moment, right? Where it's like, whether you intended it or not, it's like, sometimes you're like, ooh, there's one.
I think we sometimes confuse art with commercial viability.
Yes.
Sure, someone may not buy your one line on a piece of crayon, but someone may buy that all white canvas that's called polar bear in the snowstorm.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And that you can't. Then it's out of your hands, right?
Mhm.
It's very pure. I love it. Well, this has been awesome, CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So
having
good.
me.
Thank you for being here.
Amazing. Well, thank you all for hanging out. I hope you had a good time. ADHD art.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, do that too. Go all the directions. Why not?
Mhm.
We can now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope you come back soon, and thanks for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it, CJ.
Thank you. You're very
Thank
welcome.
you,
Thanks, guys.
CJ. You're the best.
Stop it.
Thanks, Authentically Joe. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.